Well, good morning to all of you. Great pleasure to be here today, and thank you for dragging yourselves all the way here at a particularly early hour. Before I start, I want to make three promises. The first promise is that in a bit of a role reversal, I'm going to pitch to you. The second promise is that I will be particularly provocative, and I will guarantee you that if I do my job well, I will make all of you at least a little bit uncomfortable, and some of you totally uncomfortable. And the third one is that I do promise that I will finish before my allotted time, and I shall be brief. So with that, let me get started. As Roger said, it's a very exciting time, and dare I say, troubling time, and certainly an unsettling time for those of us who are brand owners. And it's all due to this era of digital innovation and disruption that we entered a number of years ago. And frankly, none of us, I certainly could not have predicted 4 or 5 years ago the rise of everything from a little college startup called Facebook, which has eventually scaled to almost 1 billion people around the world, to a new means of real-time communication, which, as I saw, many of you were doing, which is Twitter, which is allowing us to communicate 140 characters at a time. So the question that comes to me is, wouldn't it be in our best interest to know what the next big thing is? Wouldn't we love to have a crystal ball to see what will dominate our attention and something that we think will be with us for sure for the next 5, 10, perhaps if we call it right, even the next 15 years? Well, I think I actually do. And I think it's an unexpected force that does take the digital world by storm, and I guarantee will be a prime focus of all of our professional lives for a number of years to come. So the question is, what is that thing? Is it something related to social media? Is it something to do with the world of mobile? Or is it some new advanced technology that somehow I and I alone have been privileged to get an exclusive sneak preview into? For me, the answer is none of the above. It's just television. Now, I know it's early in the morning, and you're saying, television? This guy can't possibly be serious. He's dragged us out here at this ungodly hour of 9:15 in the morning to talk about television. It's been around for more than 50 years, for God's sakes. What the heck is this guy talking about? Because isn't television dying? Isn't it in its final death throes? And aren't the Facebooks and Instagrams and Pinterests of the world about to make this entire medium obsolete? And you know, that's a good question. And if you were to push back on me, I wouldn't blame you. But here are the facts. The reality is it's not dying. The reality is that what we traditionally regard as television is actually growing. On an aggregate level, we are spending more time with traditional television than we have ever before. In the US, as you can see, in 2011, it actually grew again over the last 3 years. The same numbers play out pretty much all over the world. So why would this be happening in an era when Facebook has come to dominate all conversation? And it seems that any time you talk to someone, they're on their Facebook account or tweeting. Now, the question is not, why is television not dying? The question is, television is everywhere. And I want to make a distinction here, because what I spoke about what we traditionally consider television, that box in our living room, it's important to define what is meant by TV in this new digital age. And I think we need to expand beyond the constraints of the physical box that has become a mainstay in our home for decades now to really get to what TV really represents. Because to me, TV, while it has come to be defined by the box, has always been something that was different than that physical box. And the reality is, do you really make a major distinction between watching your favorite episode of Game of Thrones or Downton Abbey, whether you watched it on your 32-inch flat screen, or you watched it on your iPad, or on your latest smartphone? maybe there are some differences, but the motivation, the expectations, and the payoff are at the same time in the sense that TV is all about entertainment and engagement for you, regardless of where and how it is delivered. And now, more than ever, TV is truly everywhere. You know, I think this is the first of a few evolutionary shifts that television is undergoing as part of this digital era. It used to be that you could only experience TV in your home, huddled around that glowing box in your living room. That is clearly no longer the case. And thanks to continually shrinking microchips and electronics and widespread wireless broadband, as long as you have an internet connection or a locally accessible digital file, you can have a TV viewing experience just about anywhere. And it's this pervasiveness in digital connectivity that places this true definition of TV in its proper context. I believe and I maintain that TV, or perhaps video, will eat the internet within the next couple of years. And I purposely use the word eat, because that's simply the word that comes to my mind when networking leader Cisco forecasts that video will grow to become up to 90% of all internet traffic in just the 3 next years. Today already, YouTube is already delivering 4 billion global video views each day. And its devices, such as tablets, which didn't even exist as short as 2 years ago, but are forecasted to grow into a $100 billion market in as little as 3 years' time from now, that will continue to fuel this voracious hunger for television. Now, in addition to accessing television anywhere we want, the reality is we can now access TV anytime we want. It used to be that we were slaves to the programming grid and needed the pages of TV Guide or some such publication to navigate our TV consumption. That is also no longer the case. HBO Go, Hulu, others have fundamentally transformed television into a time-shifted, on-demand experience. You are now your own programmer, and pretty soon, with the exception of sports and major live TV events, there won't be much TV that you won't view when you want to versus when you have to. This dynamic, I think, will actually expand the TV viewing pie if you think about it. It'll allow you to start watching a program at home in the morning and finish it at night or whenever you so feel. And another major shift that will bring television as we know it to another level is the redefinition of the social experience around TV. Not too long ago, social within the context of television meant watching TV with your friends and family on the couch, together in the living room. You were in close physical proximity of others who shared in the experience. And more often than not, you knew them pretty well, personally. This, too, is no longer the case today. The fusion of television with social today has come to mean interacting with people via second-screen smartphones and tablet applications such as GetGlue and Miso. They allow you to socialize around TV programs as they happen, but with people anywhere in the world who just happen to have the same apps and are watching the same shows, and not just with your friends and family. And what this will do, and is already doing, is driving much richer conversations around television broadcasts that's never happened before, and broadening the definition of the conversation that used to take place around the water cooler the next day. So the question is, what happens when we start tuning into Facebook? Because the potential of Facebook becoming the place where we watch much of our TV in the future is not really much in doubt anymore, at least not to me. I think it's entirely possible, especially when you consider the fact that connected TVs allow us to access Facebook on our living room sets today. And Facebook, as you all well know, has a multi-billion-dollar war chest, or soon they will, and already has a network of 1 billion people who tune in regularly into Facebook. So the question becomes, fine, if it's here to stay and it's growing, What's driving it? Why is it that in an age of so many digitally disruptive and paradigm-shifting innovations, we are still so enamored with television? And the answer to me is simple. It is all about the content. And to be honest with you, it's always been about the content, because great content equals great storytelling. If you think about it, from time immemorial, great content and entertainment are built around great stories. Whether it's in books, whether it's in songs, whether it's in movies, and especially in television. Now, I believe storytelling is universal. Whether or not it's the reason for our existence may be debatable, but storytelling is surely one of the main social needs of humans. It's threaded into the fabric of our cultures, and great stories have been passed down from generation to generation in every village and town around the world. And the future of television and our new age of digital transformation belongs to those media players, creatives, and brand marketers who can tell the most compelling, the most engaging, and most resonant stories in the marketplace today. It's the story that makes you hit the share button on your Facebook session. It's the story that keeps you up at night thinking, how did they do that? And it's the story that I believe drives the next big things. Now, I think a few brand marketers are already understanding this and are leveraging this universal truth in ways that are benefiting their brands and engaging consumers. So, at the risk of chest beating, the first example I'll share with you comes from a brand that's close to home, Gatorade, which is part of the PepsiCo family. Now, some of you may be familiar with this program from a couple of years ago. It was a campaign called Replay, and it tapped into many a middle-aged man's dream, which is a chance to wind back the clock and replay that all-important sports moment from high school. The project involved tracking down the members of two rival high school American football teams 15 years after they played to a draw in their final senior year game for a rematch. The award-winning campaign included online webisodes, a documentary television series, and charted the story of reuniting the players from that game 15 years earlier and getting them in shape for the rematch. These two high schools had been playing each other for over 100 years. And where Gatorade aired this in the US, sales grew more than 60%. And I think the brand responded in the way it did because it told a captivating story with inspiration and with emotion. Let's take a look.
Welcome to the 87th meeting between the State Liners of Phillipsburg and the Red Rovers of East.
27-yard field goal attempt. It's blocked. This one is over. 7-7. A sister kisser.
Time might be worse than the loss. We think we have a score to settle.
Gatorade has chosen to team up with the towns of Phillipsburg, New Jersey, and Easton.
We're inviting the guys from the 93 team to strap on the helmet and the shoulder pads and replay that game to determine the true champion once and for all.
I said the coach is going to kind of come out in sweats and warm up, and he said, no, we go full pads every day. And I'm like, Coach, we're in our 30s. Come on now.
My first thought was, who are the crazies that are going to suit it up and try and play football?
Shouldn't be doing this.
15 years away from the game, you're just not going to be able to get that kind of finesse in a day.
Your eyes are certainly showing concussion.
A lot of people out there saying you can't do it. Let's prove them wrong. 1, 2, 3.
10,000 tickets sold out in 90 minutes.
The field temperature right now is at 100 degrees.
They looked at your age and they said you can't do it. They didn't look at your heart. They got to look inside of you. Get the extra on and play the damn game.
No matter how old you are, 8 to 80, blind, cripple, or crazy, you're always an athlete.
And you know, in a much more recent example, I just saw this last week. Talk about the power of storytelling. Ford has teamed up with Yahoo to launch their brand new electric car, the Ford Focus Electric. The show, Plugged In, will pit competitors against one another to win a new Ford Focus Electric. Contestants will drive this car around their hometowns, complete different tasks and challenges, and local celebrities will host the show. And since this is an online show, viewers are encouraged to comment and upload photos of their hometowns after each episode. Talk about connecting to the deepest values of what consumers really want, which is a sense of local community. And what better way at the same time to raise awareness for a new car than through that attention magnet known as reality television? So, thinking about television, it's important to understand what digital innovation has brought about that will entrench, I believe, storytelling's place as the next big thing for years and years to come. It's shifting from a medium that used to be only confined to your living room to an outlet you can access anywhere. Your viewing habits used to be by appointment only. Now, however, you can watch mostly what you want, anytime you want, on demand. And the social experience around television that used to be confined to friends and family, watching what you were watching in your living room, now by way of social apps and connected televisions includes anyone, anywhere who's watching what you're watching. This certainly isn't my father's television, but it is television still in our new reality, and I do believe it is the next big thing. So what's staying the same? Well, great storytelling. It has and always will remain the mainstay of television, and I think will continue to drive success in the media marketplace. So in closing, my message to you is to keep everything in perspective in this age of media disruption. The question is television an adjective, or is it a verb? Or is it simply a box, or your mobile device? Or is it just plain old simple, great storytelling? Frankly, I think it is whatever you choose it to be, but it is the new, yet old, yet recast and reborn opportunity, thanks in large part to a whole array of technologies that are at our fingertips now. And at the end of the day, it is the power of great storytelling. All of the technologies and tools in this new world don't matter, really don't matter, if there isn't a captivating, entertaining, and engaging narrative at the center of everything we do to capture the consumer's attention, because that's all that I, as the brand owner, am actually interested in. So here's my pitch to you. In this new reality, I believe media plans are table stakes. And you, we, all of us together have to confront this reality. Because paid placements in this programming grid will frankly not provide me with any competitive advantage, at least not any meaningful, sustainable competitive advantage. What I need from you are stories. And so I would say to you, instead of talking about media plans, what if you and I start talking about story plans? What's so revolutionary about that? What if we start engaging differently and you start to talk to me about a series of stories that will engage Gatorade and Pepsi and Lay's and Doritos and so on and so forth? That's what I need. I need amazing, groundbreaking stories that capture the hearts and minds of our consumers and thrive in this transmedia landscape. Groundbreaking insights to connect to these consumers. Because that's how new ideas, I believe, will forge ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, I think the next big thing is already here. And I look forward to working with you because I think it'll be a thrilling period for us to see how this new chapter is going to unfold. And as shall we just say, stay tuned and make it happen together. Thank you very much.
I'd almost like to remind ourselves in the first question how much money PepsiCo spends on marketing. It's a lot. It's a lot. Fascinating presentation about the future's already here. A couple of quick questions. First question, the use of agencies by large brand owners has always been a make or buy decision. You know, you could potentially do it in-house, but you choose to outsource certain activities such as public relations, creative advertising, media buying, and so on. Do you see any fundamental changes going forward in that make or buy decision? You want great stories. Can you find them inside PepsiCo, or are you going to go outside?
You know, I think it'll be a combination. We've had plenty of examples where we've crowdsourced. Doritos in the US has gone and run an event for 6 years in a row where we've asked people in the US to submit ideas for advertising that run on the Super Bowl every year. And we've placed in the top 3 by just going out and crowdsourcing. That's one. But to your broader point about agencies, here's my blue sky. Here's my wish for and my dream. I think we have to, together, transition from an era where we talk increasingly about transactions to those of relationships. And what I fear is so many of the conversations I have with agencies of different types, not perhaps the 2 or 3 we've been with the longest, but more of the newer agencies, they only want to talk transactions. I'm much more interested in relationships, and I'm much more interested in how you will build our brands together over the longer term. I'm not interested in one event or one CPM or whatever measure that may work for the next 1 month, interesting as it is.
And do you have a sense, sitting in the chair that you sit in, that the real insight into consumers is perhaps going to come more by interrogating people in Facebook or YouTube? Are they going to actually get to the stage that they know a lot more about consumers than traditional media owners ever did? Because traditional media owners tended to be quite distant from their viewers or readers, whereas the new generation are intimately linked with them.
I think they already do. I think they already do a lot more. What I don't think they know yet is to how to truly monetize it. And that's where I think the great opportunity space lies. Because I don't think people have figured out what are those engaging stories that are relevant for brands. And they will be different brand to brand and business to business. That's where I think the opportunity is for people to figure out what are those stories that engage consumers, and then use the platforms that exist to get the stories to the consumers, because consumers are coming to the platforms for utility that they see. How can we now transition the utility that consumers see into true engagement, such that their average session is no longer 6.5 minutes, it's 15?
And a final question, the guys from Google, in fact everyone in the Valley, refers rather sort of airily to network television as offline video, the ancient industry of offline video. What does this all mean for the great networks, the CBSs, the NBCs, the ITVs of this world?
Well, I think the old distinction between people who own the distribution pipe and those who brought the content is largely disappearing if it hasn't already. Hence, all of the contract negotiations and the disruptions we are seeing between the Comcasts and the satellite providers with the program owners is all around who owns the rights and what's the value of the content that's going to be delivered. Because being a pure distribution play, I think will be a very difficult space to play in. Because today, if you pay, whatever, $100 a month for your cable bill, the question you have to ask is, how much of that are you paying is truly driven by content, and how much of that is because of the fixed infrastructure and the assets that they've put in the ground already? Because the latter, to me, as an advertiser, is frankly sunk cost. It doesn't matter to me. Talk to me about the value of the content that you're delivering.
Well, thank you for the most fantastic start to our second day. I think you just told us a great story, which is going to make us think. So, Salman, thank you.